Hey, good morning and happy Mother's Day. I'm so excited to be here. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you've already had a wonderful start to your Mother's Day, and I promise you it's just going to get better from here. I'm so excited to share with you and introduce you to our guest, Grace, today. But when Justin started sharing that he was doing this Hidden Figures series and talking about women who are pretty much hidden in Scripture, and a lot of times we don't know about them, we don't know their stories, we don't understand the context, I came to Justin and I said, on Mother's Day, I've got the best hidden figure story that you will ever hear for Mother's Day. And he said yes, and I'm so thankful for his yes and thankful that we got to share this with you today. And so my friend Grace Jacobson is here. She lives in Benton. Y'all welcome Grace today. Grace has a beautiful family. I think we have a picture of her. There they all are with their at their son Justin's wedding to Molly and Everett and Brandon and Grace there. But Grace and I actually got to meet each other because of baseball. I don't know how many baseball moms we have out there, but that is a unique bond. You get to spend a lot of time with other moms cheering on our boys together. I think there's a picture of Jack and Everett when they played. I think that was like 2016 or 2017. They've grown a lot since then. But when I got to know Grace, all I knew was the pictures, the people in her family that were in that first picture. I knew Everett and Justin and Brandon. But in 2018, Grace and her family moved. Her husband's in the military, and they moved to Washington, D.C. The military relocated them, and so we were so sad to see them go. But when Grace and I kept up on Instagram and Facebook, and in November 2018, Grace posted this picture on her Instagram story and said, "I can't believe it's been either it was 7 or 8 years, I think at the time, since I was pregnant with these boys." And I messaged her real quickly and I said, I'm gonna need more information on this because I thought I kind of knew you, but I've never met these boys, so where are they? And Grace went on to share the most beautiful story of sacrificial love. I just think it's the gospel laid out of just how Jesus used her. She literally laid down her life to provide life for another family. She was a surrogate mom. And so I can't do her story justice at all. I'm just thankful I got to hear it, and I wanted to make sure you heard her story of surrogacy today. So y'all welcome Grace again, and she's going to kind of tell a little bit of her amazing story.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin, and thank you all for welcoming me here this morning. I'm really excited to be here because I love sharing this story about what God did in my life and also through me for another family. So being a mom is one of the greatest joys of my life, as many of you probably feel the same. But so I have Justin, who's 21 now, and Everett, who's 15. So I've always had this is us probably right before my surrogacy journey, and my wonderful husband, Brandon, as well. But so I've always had a heart for helping people who can't conceive, who can't have babies on their own. So when I was in my 20s, I was able to donate my eggs to 3 different couples, and that was a big blessing for me and hopefully for other families as well. But when I turned 30, I was too old to do that anymore. They didn't want me to do that anymore. So I was just graduated from college, and I was looking online for jobs, and I came across an ad for surrogacy, and I started thinking about it and brought it up to my husband, and he told me, there's no way you're going to be able to give up a baby that you've carried, even if it's not biologically yours. And I said, no, it's completely opposite. I cannot wait to give this baby to someone else, to give them the blessing of having a child. So I talked him into it, and got signed up with a surrogacy agency in Los Angeles, where it was about 2 hours from where we were living at the time in Central California. So as I got signed up there, my profile was available online, and people were able to look for me, and a couple chose me that were from Detroit. So they said, will you be our surrogate? And I was able to talk with them over phone and email for a week or so to figure out if we were a good match. And I thought we were a good match because I really wanted to help them, and I could see their desire to be parents, but I just made sure that however many embryos they planted, there wasn't going to be any termination of the embryos. If they implanted 3, and they all took, I was going to be pregnant with 3. So we tried in July of 2011 with our first round of IVF with the mother's eggs, but unfortunately it was unsuccessful. And then in September of 2011, we tried again with donor eggs, and I was able to get pregnant with 2 boys.
Wow.
So when I first got pregnant, it was amazing. The intended parents were my biggest cheerleaders. This is me at 10 weeks. And they would call me all the time. They would send me gift packages. They would make sure I was well fed. It was just an amazing relationship, and I just couldn't wait to be able to give them their babies someday. But I hadn't met them yet. So when I was 19 weeks pregnant, they were able to fly out from Detroit to come meet me and be there at my 19-week anatomy scan. So that was a special time where they brought gifts for my family, and we went out to dinner, and we just had an amazing time together. Everything was looking great at my 19-week scan, and we were all on cloud 9, and they flew back to Detroit the next day. At my 20-week ultrasound with my normal OB doctor, he mentioned to me that my cervix was shortening. And I said, what does that mean? Because that had never happened to me before. I was a good candidate for surrogacy because I had had 2 healthy pregnancies before. So he said, go home and just kind of be on modified bed rest and take it easy at home. Try to lay down as much as you can and come back next week. So
And at the meantime, you have 2 children.
Yes, I had 2 children. Thankfully, my parents were living in California at the
that's
time.
so good.
So my mom was able to come and help out with the kids a lot. But for that week, I just tried to stay in bed most of the time. And then I went back at 21 weeks, and he checked me again, and he said, your cervix is extremely shortened. You need to go directly to the hospital. And he said, don't even drive yourself. Lay down in the back seat of the car, so I was not to put any pressure on my cervix because it was so incredibly shortened. So my mom drove me to the hospital. This hospital was about an hour away from my house, so I was not able to see my family maybe once a week. This was a special day because it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I was able to have pizza, which I was pre-diabetic, being pregnant with twins, and so I was super happy to get pizza that day. But being in the hospital was really a struggle for me, not only because I couldn't see my family, but because I couldn't shower very often. I couldn't even get up to go to the restroom very often. I underwent a procedure called a cerclage to keep the babies in there. I underwent some medicine, some treatments that were supposed to keep the babies in there as long as they could, and they were really not very pleasant. But we were trying to keep them in there until they were 23 weeks because that was what the doctors told us was the age of viability. So this was a level 3 NICU, which was well equipped to take care of babies that were born early. So we were just praying we would get to 23 weeks, and we did. When we got to 23 weeks, the intended parents shocked me with something that they made a decision about, which was they had made the decision that if the babies were born before 25 weeks, that they would only receive comfort care, which is basically they would wrap them in a blanket and not give them any life-saving measures. So that really just broke my heart because I thought we were on the same page. And after everything we had been through and making it to the age of viability, I was like, why are you doing this now? But it was just a really eye-opening time for me to realize that I had no control over anything, and God was in control, and no matter how much good I was trying to do, he's the one who has the perfect timing. So, and it was also in that time that it was really a part in my faith journey where I just began reading my Bible more and praying more to God because I had grown up in a Christian house and believed in God and called myself a Christian, but I wasn't living my life for him completely as I should. So I knew there was things I needed to repent of and turn from. So he just convicted me of that in that time, and I turned from those things and placed all my faith in him and just trusted him with whatever outcome would be his will. So by the grace of God, they were born at 25 weeks and 1 day. And they weighed 1 pound and 12 ounces and 2 pounds and 1 ounce. This was the only and first picture I got of them in the NICU. Legally, they weren't even supposed to allow me in there. But the nurses had compassion on me, and I was able to see them. But after that, I had no more contact with them. The parents flew in, and they were completely devastated as well. But we kept up some communication. I would call them every day after I was discharged and ask them how the babies were doing, and they would give me very short answers, but they would mainly just tell me, like, there's a 25% chance that they're gonna need this surgery, or there's a 80% chance this is gonna be wrong with them, and they were really overwhelmed. And eventually, they told me that they had been abandoned by their family in China because they thought they were cursed because of what happened, and they blamed me for it. So I was heartbroken, but I was still trying to reach out to them because I wanted to see how the babies were doing. But unfortunately, they cut off communication with me, and I had no idea what was going on in their lives. So 18 months had passed.
Wow.
And I knew nothing about them. I just prayed for them every day that God would help them to be loved, because that was my biggest concern for them, was that they weren't loved. And I just wanted them to be loved. So after those 18 months had passed, it was July of 2013, and I was helping my parents with a Facebook garage sale. And so I was checking my messages just to see if there was any messages from people that weren't my friends.
Right.
And I looked in my other folder, and I had a message. So I clicked on it, and there was a message from a woman that was sent 3 months earlier. I just hadn't checked that folder. And it's opened up with, "You don't know me, but I think we might have a connection." And she went on to tell me that she was looking for the surrogate who had carried the babies that she had adopted when they were abandoned by their parents in the NICU. So,
And how old were they when she got them?
Her dad was a volunteer in the NICU to help give the skin-to-skin contact.
Amazing.
And when these babies were given up for adoption, he let his daughter know, and her and her husband came to the NICU and fell in love with these babies. And when they realized they were given up for adoption, they jumped on that and adopted them right away. So the intended parents were not Christians, but they put the babies up for adoption through a Christian agency because they know Christians' hearts for adoption.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was just an amazing blessing. But so they adopted them, and they were looking for me after they had gotten my name from the adoption records when the adoption was final. And come to find out, they lived 45 minutes from me this whole time. And they were so loved by this amazing family that had already adopted another child. And they were just I couldn't have asked God for a better family for them to end up in. And that night, when I first found her email in my Facebook messages, I was checking my phone before bed, and I would always go to the YouVersion app and look at the verse of the day and read it. And that day, God really spoke to me through those verses, and I just want to read that group of verses to you that I read that night. It's from Psalm 118, 21 through 25. Thank you for responding to me. You've truly become my salvation. The stone the masons discarded as flawed is now the capstone. This is God's work. We rub our eyes. We can hardly believe it. This is the very day God acted. Let's celebrate and be festive. Salvation now, God, salvation now. Oh, yes, God, a free and full life. So,
on the very day
on the
God
very-
acted.
yes, and
So
it was
awesome.
just another a reminder to me of how good God is and how good his timing is.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by his faithfulness and how he answered my prayer.
Right.
That they were loved. They've been loved since the day they were born, not only by me, but by others who I didn't even know about. So I was able to meet them a couple weeks later, and we spent a lot of time together that summer. My husband was deployed at the time, but he came back in December of 2013 and was able to meet them. And these are their wonderful parents, Tracy and Matt. And but well, we came here. We already had orders here. So right after this picture was taken, we moved to Louisiana, and they have since moved to Colorado. But we're able to keep in touch over Facebook and Instagram. And the last time I've seen them in person was December of 2014 when we flew out there just for a visit.
Look at those faces. Oh my goodness. So the last time you saw them was in 2014.
Yes.
Until about an hour and a half ago when Tracy and the boys and their daughter surprised Grace on stage. We're going to let you take a look. Let's make sure Grace can see these boys face to face on the screen today. So we have got Tracy and her boys and part of their family going to be able to Zoom with us, I think. Let's hope it all works. Technology.
Hold on a second, Robin. Let me see. I think we got a problem with the Zoom. 1 second.
Okay. Is it working?
Hold on a second. I'm not really sure.
Only God.
It's okay. It's okay, buddy.
And here they are. We've got Tracy and Jonathan and David and their daughter Seraphina. There's a lot more of them at home. I also think Grace's husband Brandon and their son Everett is here too, and they're just a huge piece of that story. But we are so thankful for their willingness. I literally called Tracy like a week and a half ago and said, I have this crazy idea. I know you don't even know me. Grace shared your number with me. But we would love to see if you would be a part of this day, just on video or maybe even flying here and showing up. And she said yes. That was the biggest yes. We've kept this secret. It's been hard. It's been so hard. But we are so, so thankful that you are here today. And so I wanted you all to see them for yourself, but we're going to let the kids go back down and let Tracy tell you a little bit of her story here. Thank you guys. You're amazing. So, Tracy, you've come all the way from Colorado Springs.
Yes.
And I just can't thank you enough for trusting us with your story and your family and being a part of this. But I know you have a unique perspective, too, in this whole surrogacy and what you experienced. So I'd love for you to just share a little bit with everybody about how God worked through that in your family.
Well, but like Grace said, we heard about these boys and we felt it in our hearts to adopt, that we were called to them. My husband at the time had said he didn't want to adopt special needs kids, and I had said I didn't want to adopt outside my race. And we go up to this NICU and we find out they're Asian and they have potential for a ton of special needs. But we said yes, and it's been an amazing story. But it was on my heart that there was this mom out there who had carried these babies, and the NICU nurses couldn't tell me anything if she knew what was going on. And so once our adoption was finalized, I went through all of our medical records and I found Grace's name and sent that Facebook message. And I remember thinking, she's going to think I'm such a stalker. But it was on my heart. She needed to know, and we've had a great relationship, and she's been able to see the boys grow and be part of their story, and so they'll have a connection to their mom. We call her their tummy mom, and I think that's awesome. And because of that, my husband and I have gone on to foster and adopt more special needs kids, and it's been a great journey, and helping kids are amazing. And we just look at our boys and we think of them as they're just amazing, and God has so much in store for them because, like Grace was saying, the percentages of them actually being able to walk, talk, see, hear, like no one had any faith, and the boys are amazing. They're great. They have no problems, so it's awesome.
Yes, they are great. We've been looking at a few of the pictures. I think there's some more these, and you can keep going. I think there's one big picture. Oh, it's so great. And then there's one big, because your parents also are part of your
So my
extended
parents
family.
still live with us, and
So
that's
they
all
have
of
9
us.
children, and you foster.
We have 9, and then there's 2 foster children in the
Yes.
pictures. They have sunglasses on because we can't show their faces. But yeah, that's our family, and we're diverse and fun, and we just love it. And it's a testament to God's love to love these kids. And people always tell us, like, you're so amazing for doing this, but I have to tell you that these kids bless us each and every day, and they're a blessing to us, and they show us God's love.
Yeah, I think one of the things I love that you mentioned to me, Tracy, when the first time we talked, and I just sat there and go, oh my gosh, my 3 kids are almost all grown, and I have hard days. I can't imagine having 9. And you said to me, it doesn't matter if you have 3 or 9.
Nope.
It's hard to be a mom. It's hard to be a parent. And so in whatever circumstances you may be in, it is tough. And it's only through prayer and through your relationship with Christ that at least I believe I'm speaking for you, that from what you guys have shared with me, that is what's gotten you through.
Definitely.
Yes.
And so today, as we started thinking about the service and really highlighting these hidden figures, because I don't think anybody would have known their story if it's not told, and we just really wanted to talk about that. But we also wanted to remind everybody that Grace's prayer, I mean, I think even in the hospital she shared how she just literally held onto the side of that bed and praying, Jesus, help me, and he did. And then her prayer was, God, let them be loved. And she prayed that for 18 months, and then God revealed, I have. And you continue to pray for your kids and the ones who've entered your life in a lot of tragic circumstances, and the prayers that are being answered from them every day. So it's a great reminder to us as moms, wherever you are, whatever your journey is right now, that your prayers matter. God really is listening, whether you're going through physical challenges, emotional, mental health challenges with your child, spiritual challenges, whatever that might be. God hears, he's listening, and he's ready to respond. And the waiting is the hardest part, I think Grace would say, for sure.